The universe had one law: never disturb the humans. Consul broke at HFY. The view stretched across hundreds of shimmering towers, their lights twinkling like distant stars in the artificial night. From here, he could see the council chambers below, where the leaders of Zorath debated everything from trade routes to war strategy. Yet Varnak's mind was not on politics, trade, or even war. His thoughts were on humans. For centuries, his species had observed the galaxy carefully. Rules were strict, and one law stood above all: never disturb the humans. They were a small species on a relatively young planet, Earth, but stories of their strength and unpredictability had reached even the furthest edges of Zorath. Ancient records told of fleets that had tried to conquer humans, only to fail completely. Entire civilizations had been destroyed by their own arrogance after interfering. But Varnak was curious. Too curious. He had spent years studying human transmissions, their history, their wars, their stories, and the little glimpses of their technology. They were different from anything else he had encountered. Not faster, not stronger, not larger, yet somehow they endured. Somehow they overcame impossibilities. That was what puzzled him most. How could a small, soft-bodied species survive when countless others perished? His council reminded him daily of the law. "The humans are not for you to study," said Elder Corrin at last week's meeting. "Leave them be. Observation from afar is the only way." Varnak had nodded politely, but inside he felt the stirring of something dangerous: excitement. What would happen if he went closer? What would happen if he could witness a human fleet in action, see their ingenuity firsthand? He told himself it would be careful, measured. He would not attack. He would only observe. Varnak's attention shifted as his assistant, Lyra, entered the room. She was small, quick, and efficient, with bright eyes that missed nothing. "Consul," she said, her voice low, "the Council expects your report on the outer colonies." The human systems have been quiet, but sensors detect unusual activity near Sol Station. Varnak's eyes narrowed. Sol Station, Earth's outer colonies, a small mining colony in the asteroid belt between Earth and Mars. Perfect for testing human reactions without risking a direct attack. He nodded slowly. "Prepare the fleet," he said. "We will visit them, quietly, observe, not interfere." Lyra hesitated. "Consul, the law is guidance, not a cage," Varnak interrupted gently. "We will take care. No one will know we were here." By the next cycle, Varnak's ships had left Zorath orbit and were moving through hyperspace toward the human colonies. His fleet was small, sleek, and armed with stealth technology that made them invisible to ordinary human sensors. Varnak had designed it himself, thinking of every detail. He felt a thrill that he could not deny, a pulse of excitement that coursed through his veins. Meanwhile, on Earth, life was ordinary. At least, that was what it seemed. Commander Luke Harper stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital defense station, looking down at the planet below. His brown eyes scanned the asteroid belt, noting the movement of mining ships and transport pods. Luke was a soldier through and through, but he had a quiet mind for detail. Something in the readings made his brow crease. "Ethan," he said, turning to his younger brother, who was monitoring communications, "do you see that?" Ethan leaned over the console. "Nothing unusual, Luke, just routine mining traffic." Luke shook his head. "I don't know. Sensors are picking up anomalies near Sol Station. Low-energy emissions, just enough to register, but nothing more. Could be natural, could be something else." Ethan frowned. "Something else, like what?" "Like someone watching us." It was not paranoia. Luke had seen strange things before. Reports of unidentified ships disappearing near colonies, communications intercepts that made no sense, flashes of light on distant planets that didn't match any known technology. Humans were curious and brave, but they had learned caution the hard way. Luke had spent years learning to trust his instincts, and they were screaming at him now. Back in the fleet, Varnak watched human colonies through high-resolution scanners. They were small, bustling places, simple but organized. Miners in protective suits moved through asteroid tunnels, hauling precious metals, while ships carried resources back to Earth. The humans were unarmed mostly, but some stations had small defense systems, not nearly enough to threaten an advanced Zorath fleet. Varnak felt his pulse quicken. "They are smaller than I imagined," he said almost to himself, "and yet there is a spark in them." Lyra glanced at him. "They are not dangerous at this distance, Consul. We could destroy the colony if needed." Varnak shook his head. "No. We are not here to destroy, only to observe, to learn." He didn't mention the thrill he felt at thinking of human ingenuity under pressure. He imagined the ways they might react to a sudden threat. It excited him more than he wanted to admit. For centuries, Varnak's people had studied humans without approaching them. Now, he would be the first in generations to witness their true nature. The fleet moved closer to Sol Station, hiding behind asteroids and debris to avoid detection. Luke Harper's instincts continued to itch at him. Something was wrong, but nothing on the sensors confirmed it. He spent long hours reviewing the logs, trying to spot patterns, while his brother Ethan tinkered with communication systems to improve signal range. As the fleet drew near, Varnak made the first calculated mistake. He sent a drone into the station's outer orbit to test human reaction times. The drone was small, silent, unarmed, but it emitted a tiny signal. Almost immediately, the humans detected it. Luke and Ethan were among the first to notice. "Look at this," Ethan said, pointing at the screen. "We've got an unidentified object approaching. No signature I recognize." Luke's eyes narrowed. "Prepare defense protocols. Do not engage yet. I want to see what it is." The drone hovered in orbit, scanning the station quietly. Luke observed its movements carefully. The drone was unlike anything human engineers had designed. It moved with impossible precision, almost as if it anticipated their moves. Luke's mind raced. Whoever built this had technology far beyond Earth. He felt the familiar mix of fear and exhilaration. Humans thrived in these moments. On Varnak's bridge, he watched the humans respond. They were clever but not fast enough to detect the full fleet. "Interesting," he murmured. "They notice the small things but cannot see the larger picture. Typical humans." Lyra frowned. "Consul, you must be careful. The Council will not forgive this breach if we are discovered." Varnak waved her concern away. "We will not be discovered. They cannot see us. We are shadows, nothing more. Let us see how they react under pressure. That is where the truth lies." As the drone returned to the fleet, Varnak felt a strange sense of anticipation. He was breaking a law older than most of his civilization, risking not only himself but his entire species' reputation. And yet he could not stop. Humans fascinated him. Their courage, their unpredictability, their will to survive, all of it was so alien, yet so compelling. Meanwhile, on the station, Luke and Ethan prepared for anything. Communications teams scrambled to identify the object. Defense crews ran drills they had practiced countless times. And yet, Luke knew instinctively that this was unlike any drill they had faced before. The object was intelligent, it was deliberate, and it was studying them. Hours passed, each one stretching longer than the last. Luke watched the asteroid belt through the observation deck's large windows, noting every movement of mining ships and shuttle pods. Nothing could prepare him for what was coming next. He felt the tension coiling in his chest, a reminder that humans were always ready to face the unknown. In the shadows, Varnak made his decision. The Council's warnings were nothing compared to what he wanted to learn. Humans would reveal their true selves when challenged, and he was going to push them, just a little. He did not know that this choice, small as it seemed, would change everything. The humans he was about to encounter were not ordinary. They would not be easily intimidated. And the law he had broken, the one law of the universe, would come to life in ways he could not imagine. But for now, he waited. The fleet remained hidden, the drone had returned, and the humans below continued their work, unaware that their world was about to collide with something far beyond their understanding. Varnak smiled faintly. Observation would soon become interaction. And the spark of human resistance would ignite a fire no alien, not even a consul, could ever extinguish. The mining colony at Sol Station had never faced danger before. Its workers were used to long days in the asteroid fields, hauling minerals and metals that would be sent back to Earth. Life was routine, almost boring, but safe. That safety changed the moment the first alien drone appeared in orbit. Commander Luke Harper noticed it almost immediately. The small, silent craft moved with a precision that no human technology could match. Sensors flagged it, and alarms went off quietly in the background. Luke stood with his brother Ethan in the control room, watching the object circle the station. "Whatever it is," Luke said, "it's not human, and it's not friendly." Ethan's fingers flew over the console. "It's small, though, hardly armed. Maybe it's just scouting." Luke shook his head. "Maybe, but I don't trust it. Prepare the defense drones and shields. I want everything ready in case it does something." The humans moved quickly. Sol's station had a small defense grid, mostly designed to stop asteroids from crashing into the colony, but it could be adapted. Engineers and technicians scrambled to reprogram defense drones to respond to unidentified objects. Luke's experience as a commander gave him the edge. He knew humans thrived when danger forced them to think fast. In orbit above, Varnak watched the humans' reactions. The drone transmitted live data back to the fleet. He smiled. The humans were clever. They had detected the small drone and were preparing for defense. Not many species would notice it, let alone act so quickly. Varnak leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. "They adapt quickly," he said to Lyra. "But how far will they go?" Lyra frowned. "Consul, you need to be careful. If they fight back too effectively, the Council will know." "They will not know," Varnak said softly. "They can see only what I allow them to see." Back on the station, Luke and Ethan watched as the drone moved closer to the asteroid belt near the colony. It hovered silently, scanning. Luke felt his pulse quicken. He had trained for this moment, yet nothing could fully prepare him. He gave orders calmly, his voice steady despite the tension. "Activate the primary shields. Prepare the interceptor drones. We are not attacking yet. Just be ready." Ethan nodded and relayed the commands. Within minutes, drones armed with defensive lasers were in position. Shields hummed to life, spreading a protective layer around the colony. Workers and miners who had wandered near the control room were sent to safe zones. Fear mixed with excitement. Humans were never meant to face this, yet somehow they thrived under pressure. The drone made its move. It sent out a beam of energy toward one of the asteroid mining ships. The ship shook violently, alarms blaring. Miners inside grabbed at controls, struggling to stabilize it. Luke watched carefully, analyzing the drone's patterns. "Ethan, target its sensors with our drones," he said. "We need to see how it reacts." The drones darted forward, firing precise pulses of energy aimed at the alien drone. To human surprise, it moved with incredible speed, dodging every attack. It wasn't just avoiding them, it seemed to anticipate their moves. "It's learning," Ethan said, eyes wide. "It's adapting faster than we are," Luke nodded. "Good, let it learn. That's how humans survive. Now we push back carefully." The drone retreated slightly, then sent a wave of energy toward the station's outer wall. The shield held, but the impact shook the structure. Dust and small debris floated in the artificial gravity. Workers crouched in safe areas, watching the strange object. Some whispered fears aloud, but no one panicked. Humans rarely did. They observed, adapted, and acted. Varnak watched all of this from the fleet. He felt a thrill that was almost intoxicating. The humans were clever, yes, but they were also predictable in their resourcefulness. They would react to pressure, to danger, and in doing so reveal themselves. He had seen many species fail under stress. Humans were different, they thrived under it. "They are impressive," Lyra said softly, "but Consul, you cannot underestimate them. Even small humans can be dangerous when cornered." "I am aware," Varnak said, his eyes still fixed on the display. "That is why I watch. Let us see their limits." Luke made another decision. He would not strike first. Humans had a tradition of defense before offense, and that instinct had saved countless lives. Instead, he focused on understanding the drone's behavior. Every move it made, every slight change in direction was data. He had to find a pattern. Hours passed. The drone attacked intermittently, testing the human's defenses, but it did not fully engage. Luke watched and learned, countering each move with careful precision. Slowly, he began to understand the drone's limitations. It was fast, but it could only predict so much. It was precise, but it could not anticipate random chaos. That evening in the station's control room, Luke turned to Ethan. "We can fight it," he said. "Not just survive, but push it back. We have to think differently, less predictable. That's how humans win." Ethan smiled, excitement brightening his face despite the fear. "Then let's do it. We'll show it what humans can do." Meanwhile, Varnak grew impatient. The drone had returned to the fleet for repairs and recalibration. "They are more resilient than I expected," he admitted. "But we are in control. Soon we will escalate just a little, enough to push them to their limits." Lyra hesitated. "Consul, escalation could be dangerous. Humans have surprised every species that underestimated them. Are you sure this is wise?" Varnak turned to her, eyes shining. "Curiosity is worth risk. We will not attack fully, only provoke. Let us see how far they can go." As night fell over the asteroid belt, humans continued their preparations. Luke and Ethan coordinated with the miners, who had become impromptu strategists, helping to set up defensive positions using mining equipment and asteroid tunnels. Sarah Mills, a pilot and engineer, helped reroute energy from inactive transport ships to power additional shields and drones. Humans improvised. Humans adapted. When the drone returned, it was met with a human surprise. Luke had anticipated its moves and placed several decoys in orbit. The drone fired, only to hit empty space. The humans counterattacked with precise energy pulses, forcing the drone to retreat again. Varnak watched in fascination. Humans were unpredictable, and that unpredictability was their strength. "This is remarkable," Varnak said almost aloud. "They do not fear, they do not panic. They adapt and they fight back with intelligence, not just strength. Yes, this is worth observing." The night continued, filled with bursts of energy and precise maneuvers. Humans and the alien drone engaged in a silent dance above the colony. Luke watched carefully, never striking more than necessary, always learning, always testing. Ethan fed him data, Sarah adjusted drones and shields, and the miners provided unexpected solutions, using mining vehicles and equipment to create obstacles in space. By the end of the cycle, the drone had retreated to a safe distance. It was unharmed but had failed to breach the colony's defenses. Humans had survived the first test, and they had learned too. They understood that something intelligent and powerful was observing them, something far beyond their technology. Luke stood on the observation deck, looking out at the dark expanse of space. "They're out there," he said quietly, "and they're learning about us just like we learned about them." Ethan nodded. "So what now?" "Now," Luke said, "we prepare. Humans survive because we adapt. We will be ready for whatever comes next." Across the asteroid belt, Varnak returned to the fleet, his mind alive with calculations. Humans were more than he had imagined. They were clever, resourceful, and courageous. He realized something important: this was only the beginning. The humans had passed the first test. The drone had returned, the colony survived, and the humans had adapted in ways he could not have predicted. The thrill of curiosity and the excitement of discovery filled Varnak's mind. But he also understood that he had broken the one law that had kept his species safe. And breaking that law meant that what happened next could change everything, not just for him, but for the entire galaxy. The stars above Sol Station seemed to shine brighter, as if signaling that something was coming. Luke, Ethan, Sarah, and the miners did not know the full scale of the challenge yet, but they were ready. Humans always were. And Varnak, Consul of Zorath, knew that observing humans was far more dangerous and far more fascinating than he had ever imagined. The humans of Sol Station had survived the first test. They had faced the strange alien drone and adapted. But they did not know that the fleet behind it was waiting, hidden, observing every move. Commander Luke Harper stood in the control room, studying the data. Something about the patterns of the drone suggested it was not acting alone. "Ethan," Luke said, "this isn't over. That drone was only the beginning. Whoever sent it is watching, learning. They will try again." Ethan, always quick with numbers, nodded. "I've been analyzing the energy signatures. The fleet must be larger than what we can detect. They are hiding behind asteroids and debris. I think they are preparing something." Luke ran his hand through his hair. He was calm, but inside he felt the familiar tension of humans facing the unknown. Fear was present, yes, but so was determination. Humans always fought back. That instinct ran deep, stronger than any fear. The miners were also preparing. Life in the asteroid fields had taught them creativity and problem-solving. They built barricades and improvised defensive systems using mining vehicles and equipment. Sarah Mills, the pilot and engineer, helped them modify small shuttles into fast-moving defensive drones. Even ordinary workers had found clever ways to use the environment. Rocks, dust clouds, and narrow tunnels became tools of defense. Meanwhile, Varnak watched the humans carefully from the fleet. He had been cautious until now, but curiosity burned in him. He wanted to see how humans reacted when real danger came. It was time to escalate. The fleet moved closer, staying just out of range of human sensors. "Prepare the strike," Varnak said. His voice was calm, but his eyes shone with excitement. "We will test their limits. Let us see what humans are truly capable of." Lyra hesitated. "Consul, remember the law. If we push too far, do not worry," Varnak interrupted. "They will learn, and so will we. Observation is our goal, nothing more." Back on Sol Station, Luke continued to prepare. "Everyone listen carefully," he said to his team. "We don't know what is coming. It could be another drone or something larger. We are not attacking first, but we will respond immediately if anything moves against us. Stay sharp and think fast. Humans survive by using their minds as much as their weapons." As the hours passed, the alien fleet revealed itself gradually. Small energy pulses lit the space around the asteroid belt. They were testing, probing, learning the humans' reactions. The humans responded with equal care, analyzing, moving, adapting. Each minor attack taught them something. Each defensive maneuver strengthened their resolve. The first real attack came at dawn, though dawn was only a shift in artificial lighting in space. The fleet fired small, concentrated energy beams at the mining colony. Luke watched the monitors as one of the beams hit a storage depot. Sparks flew, but the depot's protective shields held. He gave orders quickly. "Activate countermeasures, target the energy sources of incoming fire, keep civilians safe." Ethan worked rapidly, adjusting drones to intercept energy beams. Sarah piloted small craft, using asteroids as cover to block enemy targeting systems. Even the miners joined in, using mining machinery to create moving obstacles in space that disrupted the aliens' weapons. The alien fleet was faster and more powerful, but humans were unpredictable. They did not fight with brute force alone. They used strategy, improvisation, and randomness to confuse the enemy. Varnak watched, astonished. No other species had fought like this. Most either panicked, fled, or attacked head-on. Humans were different. "They are clever," Varnak admitted softly. "Their intelligence is not just technical. It is instinct, creativity, and courage all combined. This is remarkable." Lyra nodded, worried. "Consul, we cannot underestimate them. They could destroy more than a single drone or small strike team if they continue like this." Varnak smiled. "Then we will see. Let them grow stronger. Let us test them further." The humans responded with precision. Luke identified patterns in the fleet's attacks and adjusted defenses accordingly. He had learned the value of patience. Strike when necessary, defend always, and adapt continuously. That was the human way. Hours turned into a full cycle of combat. Small energy blasts continued to strike the colony, but none could break through. Every attack was countered. Every obstacle met with a solution. Humans improvised at every turn, turning ordinary equipment into clever defensive tools. One alien strike almost hit a critical power station. The blast shook the station violently, but Sarah piloted a small shuttle through the debris cloud, diverting the energy beam into an asteroid. The station was unharmed. Luke watched, impressed. The humans' courage and quick thinking had turned a near disaster into a minor victory. "Good work," Luke said, speaking to his team. "We are learning faster than they expect. Keep adapting. Keep moving. We will survive this." Meanwhile, Varnak grew more fascinated. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but also resilient. Their ability to improvise in the face of danger was extraordinary. Most species he had encountered would have been broken by now. Humans, however, thrived. They turned threats into opportunities. "They adapt," Varnak said quietly, almost to himself. "They learn and they fight back with intelligence. This is extraordinary." Lyra still hesitated. "Consul, their courage is dangerous. One mistake could cost us everything. Are you sure we should continue?" Varnak's eyes gleamed. "We will continue. Observation requires risk, and humans are worth the risk." The human response was not just defensive. Luke began planning small counterattacks, using drones and shuttles to target the fleet's weak points. They studied the alien technology from their observations and made careful calculations. Humans did not have the raw power to destroy the fleet, but they had something more important: creativity and courage. A group of miners suggested using asteroid debris to create a moving barrier between the fleet and the colony. Luke agreed, assigning pilots to push asteroids into precise orbits. The fleet fired energy beams, but the moving debris disrupted their aim. Small victories like this gave the humans confidence. As the battle continued, the humans discovered the fleet's strategy. The aliens attacked in waves, testing and learning from each response. Luke realized this and turned it against them. He had the humans set up traps based on predictable patterns in the alien attacks. When the fleet attacked next, they found themselves dodging obstacles, energy pulses bouncing back from shields, and drones intercepting every move. Varnak watched, growing both excited and frustrated. Humans were learning faster than expected. Their adaptability was beyond any prediction. Each wave of attack only made them stronger. He had thought he was the observer, but now he realized humans were teaching him something new. Hours later, the fleet had suffered minor damages. Small ships were disabled, energy systems misfired, and the fleet had been forced to retreat temporarily. Humans cheered quietly, not in celebration, but in relief. They had survived the first real strike. They had fought an alien fleet and adapted in real time. Luke gathered his team in the control room. "This was only the beginning," he said. "We held them off, but they will try again. We have learned a lot. They are powerful, yes, but not unbeatable. Humans survive because we adapt, because we think differently, and because we never give up. Remember that?" Ethan nodded. "We've seen their strength, Luke. But we've seen ours too. We can fight them. We can win," Sarah added. "And we will. They may be stronger, but we are smarter when it counts. They underestimate us because they think we are weak. We will show them otherwise." Across the asteroid belt, Varnak returned to the fleet. He was both impressed and unnerved. Humans had survived the attack. They had adapted faster than he anticipated. He realized that they were not merely another species to observe. They were unique, unpredictable, dangerous. "They are more than I imagined," he admitted to Lyra. "We cannot destroy them easily. They are resilient, creative, and brave." Lyra's voice was cautious. "Consul, this is exactly why the law exists. Never disturb the humans. You see now why the galaxy fears them." Varnak nodded slowly. "Yes, I see it. And yet the truth is even more fascinating. Humans are not just survivors. They are something else entirely. We will continue to watch and learn, but we must be careful." Even as the fleet regrouped, the humans of Sol Station prepared for the next attack. They repaired their drones, reinforced shields, and improvised new tactics. Every day they grew stronger, faster, and smarter. They had survived the first real challenge and were ready for the next. In the quiet moments between battles, Luke looked out at the stars. He did not fear the alien fleet. Humans survived because they adapted. Humans survived because they never stopped learning, and humans survived because they never gave up, no matter the odds. Varnak, from afar, continued to observe. He had broken the law. He had disturbed the humans, and he had learned a lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. They were clever, brave, and unstoppable in ways no other species could match. The first clash had ended, but the war of wits and courage was just beginning. The humans had survived the first attacks. They had adapted, learned, and improvised. Sol Station was damaged but intact. Commander Luke Harper walked through the control room, checking each station. Ethan and Sarah were busy coordinating repairs and adjusting drone systems. Miners and technicians worked tirelessly, moving supplies, reinforcing shields, and preparing for the inevitable next strike. Luke's brown eyes scanned the asteroid field beyond the station's windows. The fleet was still out there, hiding, observing, waiting for the humans to tire. But humans did not tire easily. They adapted, they improvised, and they fought with courage no alien had ever seen. "Luke," Sarah said, pointing at a display, "we've detected movement in the asteroid belt, small energy pulses. They're positioning themselves again." Luke nodded. "I expected it. They are learning from their last attack, but so are we. It's time to take the fight to them, not just defend. We'll force them to react to us this time." Ethan, always quick with calculations, added, "We can use the asteroids and debris fields as cover, then strike with drones from multiple directions. They'll think they are controlling the battle, but we'll guide them into traps." Luke smiled faintly. "Exactly. Humans don't just survive, we find a way to turn the tables. Let's show them what that looks like." The humans moved quickly. Miners modified small transport shuttles into fast-moving drones armed with energy pulses. Sarah tested each one, flying through the asteroid field, weaving between rocks, and using shadows to hide. Luke coordinated the deployment, giving each pilot a precise role. Even the ordinary workers, trained only in mining, became part of the strategy. They moved asteroids to create barriers, obstacles, and channels that the fleet could not predict. Above them, Varnak observed. He had expected human resistance, but this level of strategy surprised him. Most species would have panicked or attacked blindly. Humans were doing something different. They were learning and planning simultaneously, adapting faster than the fleet could. "They are dangerous," Lyra said quietly. "Consul, we cannot underestimate them." Varnak's eyes gleamed. "I do not underestimate them. That is why this is fascinating. Let us see how far their courage and intelligence can take them." The fleet made its move. Alien ships darted between asteroids, attempting to find openings in the humans' defenses. Energy beams fired, striking rocks and debris, sending sparks and fragments flying. The humans anticipated each strike. Drones intercepted beams, shields redirected energy, and asteroids blocked shots. Luke gave orders with calm precision. Push drones to the left flank. Use the asteroid cover. Keep their attention on the center. Sarah, you and your team create a diversion in the right quadrant. Ethan, monitor energy readings and adjust the shields dynamically. Miners, move rocks to redirect fire and slow their advance. Humans moved like a single organism. Each part worked with the others, each action supporting the next. The fleet fired repeatedly, but their attacks became less effective. Humans were not just defending, they were controlling the battle. One of the alien ships tried to flank the colony, moving rapidly through a narrow tunnel of asteroids. Luke anticipated this and ordered a trap. Drones from hidden positions fired energy pulses that struck the ship's engines, slowing it down. Meanwhile, Sarah piloted a shuttle through a narrow gap and sent a pulse into the ship's navigation system, forcing it to retreat. Varnak watched, stunned. "They are not just surviving, they are forcing us to react. Incredible." Lyra's voice was tense. "Consul, this is exactly what the law warns against. Humans are unpredictable, and they are proving it." Varnak ignored her warning. "Observation requires risk. Let us see how they respond next." Luke and Ethan worked without pause. They had learned from previous attacks and improved their systems. Drones moved in coordinated patterns, confusing the fleet. Shields were adjusted in real time, reflecting energy beams off nearby asteroids. Humans were no longer defending. They were attacking strategically, targeting weak points in the fleet's formation. Sarah led a small squadron of drones into the outer perimeter. They moved fast, weaving between rocks, and fired precise energy pulses at the alien ships' sensors. Several ships were temporarily blinded, forced to retreat. The humans cheered quietly, knowing their strategy was working. The miners played a critical role as well. Using mining equipment, they created debris clouds that blocked sensors and energy beams. They moved asteroids into positions that forced the fleet to slow down or risk collision. Each action was simple but effective, showing how humans could use ordinary tools in extraordinary ways. Luke noticed a pattern in the fleet's attacks. The aliens were strong but rigid. They attacked predictably, relying on speed and precision. Humans, however, thrived in unpredictability. Luke adjusted their drones to move in irregular patterns, using the fleet's assumptions against them. Every attack became less effective. Every move by the fleet was countered. Varnak's admiration grew, mixed with frustration. He had broken the law, disturbed the humans, and now they were teaching him a lesson he had never expected. Their strength was not in raw power, but in intelligence, adaptability, and courage. "They are extraordinary," he said quietly. "I have never seen anything like this." Lyra's voice trembled. "Consul, the law exists for a reason. They are proving why every species should fear humans. One mistake could cost us everything." Varnak nodded, but his excitement was undeniable. "I see it, and yet I cannot look away. Humans are remarkable. We will continue to observe. We will continue to test. And we will learn." Back on Sol Station, the humans pressed their advantage. They coordinated attacks, defended key positions, and improvised constantly. Luke watched the fleet's movements carefully, giving orders that exploited their weaknesses. Even small victories, like disabling a single alien drone or redirecting a beam, boosted morale. Hours passed. The humans had turned the tide of the battle. The fleet, though stronger, could not penetrate the humans' defenses. Every attack taught the humans something new. Every maneuver made them faster, smarter, and more unpredictable. Sarah piloted a shuttle close to one of the alien ships, firing a concentrated energy pulse into its engines. The ship shuddered and spun out of control, colliding with a small asteroid. Other ships retreated to avoid debris. Humans had used clever tactics rather than raw power to gain the advantage. Luke looked around at his team. "This is what humans do," he said. "We do not give up. We adapt. We turn impossible odds into opportunities. We survive because we are clever, brave, and willing to fight when others would flee." Ethan smiled. "And we are learning faster than they can. They cannot predict everything we will do." The fleet tried one final maneuver, sending several ships together in a concentrated strike. But the humans were ready. Drones intercepted energy beams, shields reflected attacks off nearby asteroids, and humans used the environment to their advantage. One alien ship was disabled, another forced to retreat, and the rest regrouped far from the colony. Varnak stared at the display in disbelief. They survived, not just survived, but pushed us back. They are learning faster than anticipated. Incredible. Lyra shook her head. Consul, you cannot continue. This is dangerous. They are proving the reason the law exists. Varnak's eyes shone. I see it. And yet the truth is clear. Humans are unlike any species we have faced. They are intelligent, brave, and relentless. Observation has become interaction, and they are teaching us lessons we did not expect. The humans of Sol Station celebrated quietly, not with loud cheers, but with relief and determination. They had survived the first major strike and had shown that even a powerful fleet could be countered with courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Luke looked out at the stars. He knew the fleet would return, but he was not afraid. Humans thrived under pressure. They survived because they adapted. They survived because they thought differently. And they survived because they never gave up, no matter the odds. Varnak, watching from afar, realized the truth. Humans were not merely survivors. They were a force of nature, unpredictable, clever, and unstoppable. He had broken the law. He had disturbed the humans. And now he understood why every species had feared them. The battle had ended for now, but the war between humans and the fleet was only beginning. Humans had learned, adapted, and survived. And in doing so, they had shown the first true example of what it meant to be unstoppable. The galaxy would soon learn the same lesson. The alien fleet hovered beyond the asteroid belt, cautious and silent. Varnak's eyes scanned the humans' positions. He had underestimated them before, and now he felt the weight of that mistake. Every ship, every drone, every shielded station they had attacked had been met with creativity and courage. Humans were not just surviving, they were dominating the battlefield in ways he could not fully predict. They are extraordinary, Varnak said quietly, almost to himself. They adapt, they fight, and they think. No other species can do this. Lyra shook her head. Consul, the law, humans are not to be disturbed. You have broken it, and now they are teaching us why it exists. You cannot win against them without massive losses. Varnak's eyes glowed. Perhaps not, but we will see. Observation must continue. Let us see how far their spirit can take them. Meanwhile, on Sol Station, Commander Luke Harper stood on the observation deck, watching the asteroid belt. The humans had survived multiple attacks, learned the aliens' tactics, and adapted their defenses. Now Luke knew it was time to strike back, not just defend. Everyone, he said, addressing the team in the control room, this is the moment. We've learned their moves, their strengths, and their weaknesses. Now we turn the tables. We will not wait for them to strike again. We will act. Humans survive by creating opportunities. Let's create ours. Ethan, already calculating trajectories and energy usage, nodded. We can guide them into the asteroid fields, force their ships into tight spaces where their technology gives them less advantage. We can control the battle, even against their numbers. Sarah smiled. And we can use drones to hit their weak points. Small strikes, precise, unexpected. They won't see it coming. Luke moved quickly. Humans began preparing every drone, shuttle, and modified mining ship. Miners positioned asteroids to create channels, dead ends, and traps. Every piece of equipment was repurposed. Even ordinary machines became tools of strategy. The humans worked together like a single organism. Every person had a role, and every action counted. Varnak watched from afar. He was curious. Humans were clever, yes, but he had expected to overwhelm them eventually. Yet every step they took seemed to counter the fleet's moves. He realized something terrifying. They were not just responding, they were controlling the flow of the battle. They are not just surviving, he admitted. They are dictating terms. Incredible. Lyra's voice was urgent. Consul, they are dangerous. You cannot underestimate humans. You must retreat before it is too late. Varnak shook his head. Retreat is not the goal, observation is, and humans are worth studying even if it costs us. Let us see what happens next. The humans began their maneuver. Drones moved in irregular, unpredictable patterns. Shuttles darted through asteroid channels, appearing in unexpected positions. Miners pushed debris into the fleet's path, forcing alien ships to slow down or risk collisions. Every move was calculated, yet seemed spontaneous. The aliens fired repeatedly, but their energy beams struck asteroids or empty space. Luke directed the human forces with calm precision. Now, push the left flank, draw them toward the central trap. Sarah, lead your drones through the gap on the right. Ethan, adjust shields dynamically, keep the civilians safe but make sure every move counts. The fleet hesitated. Alien ships were powerful but rigid. Their attacks were precise but predictable. Humans exploited this. Energy pulses from drones targeted engines and sensors, temporarily disabling several ships. Shields reflected attacks off rocks, causing energy beams to collide and dissipate. Humans had turned the battlefield itself into a weapon. One alien ship attempted to escape through a narrow gap between asteroids. Sarah piloted a shuttle at high speed, weaving between rocks, and fired a concentrated pulse at the ship's engines. Sparks flew. The ship spun out of control, crashing into a smaller asteroid. Other ships retreated slightly to avoid debris. Humans had used ingenuity rather than strength to gain the advantage. Varnak watched, stunned. Humans were not just clever, they were unpredictable and relentless. Every strategy the fleet tried was countered. Every weak point was exploited. The humans were not just defending, they were winning. Luke observed the fleet's movements and noticed patterns. The aliens relied on speed and precision. Humans relied on unpredictability and creativity. He gave new orders. Drones split into 4 groups, move in irregular patterns, force them into the asteroid maze. Shuttles follow behind the drones and hit weak points. Miners shift asteroids to create new obstacles, make them react to us, not the other way around. The humans' plan worked perfectly. Alien ships were funneled into narrow paths where their technology gave them little advantage. Energy beams collided with rocks or shields, and drones intercepted weak points. Several ships were disabled, their engines overloading or sensors destroyed. Varnak's face grew pale. They are winning. Against everything we thought, they are winning. Lyra whispered, Consul, we must retreat. Humans are unstoppable. You have disturbed them, and now they are teaching you why the law exists. Varnak did not reply. His fascination with humans had overtaken fear. He could not turn away. He watched as the humans continued to strike, adapt, and control the battlefield. Luke noticed the final weakness. The fleet had been forced into a predictable formation, reacting to the humans' manipulation. He gave one final order. Energy pulses, full strength, target remaining engines. Drones, disrupt sensors. Shuttles, focus on control systems. Miners, collapse asteroid barriers at calculated intervals. Finish this. The humans moved with perfect coordination. Energy pulses struck alien engines, causing explosions and spinouts. Drones disrupted navigation, forcing ships into asteroid collisions. Shuttles disabled control systems. Even the miners' debris manipulations created chaos. The fleet, powerful as it was, had no choice but to retreat or be destroyed. Varnak stared in disbelief. Impossible! Humans should not be able to do this. And yet they are not just surviving, they are dominating. Lyra's voice trembled. Consul, you must leave now. Humanity is proving exactly why they are feared. Varnak finally nodded, realizing the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were not predictable. Humans were extraordinary. Even if he wanted to continue the observation, it was too late. The humans had proven their strength and creativity beyond any expectation. On Sol Station, Luke watched the last alien ships retreat. He felt relief, but not arrogance. Humans survived because they adapted, because they fought with intelligence and courage, because they never gave up. The colony had won not by raw power, but by skill, creativity, and teamwork. Ethan grinned. We did it. They're retreating. Sarah added, and they won't forget this. Every move we made taught them something, but they underestimated humans again. They'll remember us now. Luke looked out at the stars, calm and steady. Yes, we survived, we adapted, we fought back. And we showed that humans are more than just survivors. We are a force no one can ignore. The humans celebrated quietly. Miners, engineers, pilots, and soldiers all had played a role. They had survived impossible odds and emerged victorious. Each person had contributed, each action had counted. Humans had not only defended their home, they had asserted themselves as a species to be reckoned with. Varnak returned to his fleet, humbled. He had broken the law, he had disturbed the humans. And now he understood why every species feared them. Humans were not just another species in the galaxy. They were intelligent, brave, adaptive, and unstoppable. They are extraordinary, he admitted aloud. No fleet can defeat them easily, no species can predict them. I have broken the law and I have seen why it exists. Humans are remarkable. Lyra nodded silently. We should leave while we can. Humans are not done. They will only grow stronger. Varnak finally agreed. The fleet retreated, leaving Sol Station intact. Humans had survived, adapted, and asserted their strength. The law of the galaxy was clear, but it was humans who had rewritten the rules. Luke, Sarah, and Ethan stood together on the observation deck, watching the last of the alien ships disappear. The battle was over, at least for now. The humans had proven themselves, not through brute force, but through courage, intelligence, and ingenuity. The galaxy would remember this day. The humans of Sol Station had survived the impossible, turned the tide, and shown that no species could underestimate them. And far across the stars, Varnak knew the truth. Humans were not merely survivors. They were a force that could not be stopped, a species that would shape the future of the galaxy. Humans had won. Humans had survived. And humans had proven why the law existed and why disturbing them was the greatest mistake any being could make. The stars above Sol Station twinkled as if in approval, and humanity's legend began to spread across the galaxy, unstoppable, brilliant, and forever remembered.